All right, I'm going to do a little something different today. Show you an older saw that has been restored. It wasn't restored by me. It was restored by a friend who gifted it to me. I did a little bit of work for him, so he felt inclined to rebuild one of these and give it to me. I think he has several of these 5200s. They're 85 cc's. Really good old saw. He had, I think he has 4 or 5 of them. I could be wrong. But he took some of his parts, I guess, and put this together for me. It runs awesome. These were excellent saws back in the day. I think they came out around mid-70s, 75, 74. Made them to about 1980 or so. As you can see, it's a real deal. This is a real heavy-duty saw. These are excellent saws. Kind of wish they had a second felling spike on the side, but for bucking it doesn't matter. And that seems to work. Good enough. I haven't used this saw a whole lot. I've used it a couple times. It's not going to be a saw I'm going to use every time I go out and cut a big tree. It's just not. I like looking at it. I will use it. I have used it. It works just fine. I do have to check maybe the oiler on it. It seems to be working fine, but I know some of these bars don't line up just quite right with it. It has a slightly different bar mount than the large Husqvarna mount. Look at the exhaust on this thing. That's how they came from the factory. So when people say, oh, you opened that exhaust up too much. No. You can go 100% the area of the exhaust port on the cylinder and you're not going to have any running issues. These engines don't really operate with any back pressure or anything like that. They're not that advanced unless you get a tuned scavenging pipe. Just open it up. The exhaust, the air wants to come out. It helps suck out some of and suck in the new charge anyway. Some people have gone more than 100%, but I don't see the necessity for that. This has the extra heavy-duty little guard plate here on the front of the exhaust muffler can. Filters are pretty much no longer available, so you kind of have to make do with what you have. And stuffing some foam filter material in between the two halves seems to work. Don't want to do that and scratch my pretty paint up on the magnesium. A couple cool features about these saws, even though they're from back in the 70s really. They had, well, they call them the Countervibe 5200, Poulan 5200 Countervibe. Well, there that goes. There it is. I'll have to get it later. They have some rubber mounting here. It's not like the modern saws, but there's some isolation mounts. And these things were a lot smoother than, say, the beloved McCullochs of the time. Yeah, see, this has like a filter squeezed in between there. It seems to do okay. I've cleaned it a couple times, but as long as you keep your chain nice and sharp, you're still going to get, dust. You can't avoid that. You're cutting wood. There's other stuff in the wood. The chain's moving fast. You're going to have dust, especially in a drier environment. Let me grab this thing real quick. You can listen to me talk while I'm down here because I'm using a mic system. Works pretty darn good too. It's quite expensive though. 85 cc's. You can see he even bee blasted the cylinder to make it look nice and clean. Probably helps cooling a little bit. Oh, even the flywheel looks like it was bee blasted. He does great work. Mark loves these old things, and I'm inclined to like them too. I'm partial to them. These Tygon lines are getting hard already though. I mean, that'll still work. Tygon line, it sucks. Even the Oregon one, the supposedly good stuff, fuel gets to it, it gets hard. Even non-ethanol fuel. I recommend I use this black rubber stuff, or not rubber stuff, this black stuff. Obviously it doesn't come in that size. This is more for smaller saws. But this seems to last quite a bit longer than the Tygon. And of course manufacturers are now going to really high quality molded lines that seem to last quite a long time. But us guys repairing stuff, old saws are we're kind of limited to what we can use. This here, you can probably get away with using that as kind of an impulse line material. It's doesn't swell or shrink with heat as easily as Tygon or other fuel line. This is really made for impulse line. Tygon line doesn't work for impulse lines either, people. It'll fall right off. So yeah, we're relegated using this Oregon Tygon line a lot of times with these old saws. And I'll tell you what, that's a big line on that saw. Now that's a fuel line for a chainsaw, people. That's real stuff back then. They did not mess around. That is metal. Made in China. No, just kidding. This is made here in the States, of course. Really well done. No, it might have a manufacturing stamp somewhere when they casted this, but I'm gonna say, well, this is actually, I think, a slightly later one because they revised the case a little bit. See how it has this extra piece here. The old ones did not. This was just a seam. There's actually screws here, and it's extra thick. I think this was built a little later. How late, I don't know. Take this off real quick. These are every bit as good as the old McCullochs. The bad thing is Poulan really only made chainsaw up to 85 cc's, I think, at the time. They did sell chainsaws that were green and said Poulan on them. They were actually, that were larger. They were actually, at least this era, they were actually made by Dolmar. Some of the real old ones, like the old Sandcasted, I think some of those were in fact larger than 85 cc saws. Don't hold me to that. I'm not an expert on all these chainsaw model numbers and everything. Some guys know them like you wouldn't believe. I know the modern saws fairly well, but geez, you have to realize there's thousands of old chainsaws that were made. Mauls, Distons, the list goes on and on and on. Anyway, I thought I'd show you some of this old stuff. Boy, these sound neat. There's some videos online. These saws actually running and cutting. Brad B.L. Snelling has a couple of these in his videos running. And actually the get-together I went to when I was given this has it running. First run after rebuild. Running great. I don't think I even needed to touch the tune on the car. Mark, he doesn't mess around. Thought I'd show you something kind of cool, kind of old, instead of all this new stuff I usually have. And later this week, well, it's Thursday, Thanksgiving, that's why I'm doing this after Thanksgiving dinner here in the United States. I'm excited to kind of go out and run this beast I put together. Not this one, not the Poulan, but I put this beast together a few weeks ago. Haven't had a chance to run it. A little tight in here with on space. This here is a tight space here, people. Nope. Husqvarna 395 XP. I just put it back together. Why would I take apart a perfectly brand new good saw? To port it. I didn't do machine work on it. Don't have the ability to do that right now. I don't have a lathe at my disposal. But I did remove the base gasket. Compression's still up near 200 psi. So I think that's just fine. And the numbers I put on it, advance the timing a bit. That thing sounds good. It's going to scream. I have it tuned rich right now, but I leaned it out. It wanted to spin 14,000 RPMs. That's a lot for 90 some cc saw. Why do I always say cc? Dropping stuff everywhere. These are aluminum, by the way. They're easy to bugger up. And the must for working on saws, little impact driver. There we go. I like to go over it with the screwdriver and just check the tightness, but I'm pretty good at knowing how that works. And just a couple clicks on impact and it's on there, man. These things are freaking awesome.